Hello everyone, I'm François Beausoleil for the Empathic Coaching Revolution. This video is the first of a series of 3 videos focusing on how to get started to coach. And this specific video will focus on the question of safety. So you will learn how to identify your fears, how to work with the fears, how to increase your level of safety, and ultimately this will make it easier for you to get started coaching. So simply put, if you don't feel safe enough, you will either not get started to coach, or you might get started but it's not gonna work, it's not gonna be sustainable. Safety is linked to survival, and there is nothing stronger in any living being than the instinct to survive. So to find out the correct level of safety, we will use our fears as guides. Fears are giving us information about our perceived level of safety. They are not a reason to not do what we want to do. We can see fears as bringing requests for increased safety, not as demands for the status quo. There are 2 types of fears. There are the conscious ones and the unconscious ones. So now we'll start, for step 1, we will start with the conscious ones. So at this point I suggest that you pause the video and download the document that is related to this video, and you can do that by clicking on the button right below the window of this video. And once you got it downloaded, you can print it and then answer the question number 1, which is, what are your main fears related to coaching? Right? And when it's done, come back and start the video again. So now to introduce step number 2, if you deny or if you refuse to hear your fears, as you might have guessed, they will not go away. They are more likely to increase the volume, so they have more chances of being heard, right? So the way to work with fears is simply to be present for the fears. In the same way as you would do if, imagine there's a kid who's terrorized, who's really afraid. This really helps to try to convince him or reassure him or her. Usually what works the best is to come close to that kid and just be present. Just be there for him or her. Yeah. So same thing for your own fear. So this is step number 2. Take about 15 seconds to be with each of the fears. So do that, pause, put the video on pause, and come back when you're done. So now let's work on the unconscious fears, the fears that are not so easily or readily available. The way to unmask these fears works like this. The first part is you ask yourself this question: how does success look like in terms of coaching? So, for example, imagine you're in the future, 6 months from now, things are going really well in terms of your coaching practice. What is happening? How does it look like? How many clients do you have? How much money is coming in? How much fun do you have doing it? Right? So that's the first part. Answer this question. How does success look like? So the second part is to answer another question. What might you lose that you value if you were to have what you want? Which in this case, if you were to have the level of success that you just described when you answered question 1. And the third part of this step is simply to extract the fear that you found when you answered question number 2. So for example, you might have found that one thing that you might lose that you value is that you will not have as much time to take care of your kids, which could be damaging to them and could lead to some tensions with your husband. So now that the fears have been identified, the conscious ones and at least one of the unconscious ones, let's see how we can increase your level of safety. And even before that, the essence of what I would suggest that you do now is to partner with your fears. You spend some time being with the fears, listening to the fears. So now let's put it in action. As I said, fears as a request for increased safety. So let's see what we can do at that level. So for each of the fears that you found, ask yourself this question. And this is step number 4. What would need to happen for me to feel safe enough in relation to this fear? What would need to happen for me to feel safe enough in relation to this fear? And when you find an answer to that, think of what is one thing that you could do this week that will get you started moving in that direction. So again, pause the video and answer question 4 on the document and come back when you're done. Alright, so do you feel a bit more safe? Hopefully that's the case. So I'm not claiming that following these steps would completely clear the way towards getting started to coach. But what I'm saying though, is that when you put your attention on increasing your level of safety, and you do it from a place of partnering with your fears, this is probably the wisest use of your attention and your energy. So give it a try, tell me how it went, and in the next video you will learn how to find people that you can start practicing coaching with. I hope to see you there.